10 most ridiculous horror films. So, with the amount of good horror films there are out there, there's gotta be some bad ones too, right? Well, to start off this list, we have the movie Zombievers from 2014. Now, zombies are quite cliche as it is. They're used far too often and have lost some of that scare factor from being overused. But at least they're still popular and don't really need changing. So what idiotic person thought it would be a good idea to make zombie beavers into a film? Beavers aren't exactly the scariest of animals to begin with. I mean, you may as well have made zombie bunnies or zombie kittens. But regardless of this, the movie is a good laugh, making it fairly enjoyable, although not for the reasons the movie intended, since it's supposed to be a horror film. We think it would have been better if, instead of these zombie beavers, the writers just used some other creature that already exists instead of attempting to reinvent zombies for a new audience, because, quite frankly, it didn't really work. Next up on this list is the film Teeth from 2007. Now, first of all, before getting into this, we gotta say, although this film may be humorous for women at times, for us men, it is quite uncomfortable. At least it was for us when we watched it. The concept of the film is basically that the main female character has teeth down in a place that teeth really should not be. Let's just say if Trump grabbed this girl where he likes to grab girls, he'd get bit. Because when she gets assaulted or is in a very uncomfortable position, those teeth snap shut and bite, in most cases cutting off the man's naughty parts. We personally couldn't bear to watch some of these scenes. Just thinking about it made us wince. But getting past that, if you look at the very basics of the film, it's just another ridiculous idea. Who gets up in the morning and thinks, oh yeah, how about a film where there's teeth inside of a girl's vajayjay? That's a good idea. Although there is one good point, the film is supposedly meant to stop men from getting the urge to sexually assault innocent women, so that's a good thing. In the film Rubber from 2010, there's an apology for it within the first couple of minutes. Steven Spinella stands in front of the screen and talks about movies with no reason behind them, where things happen for no conceivable reason at all. Then the actual movie itself starts. The movie, as stupid as it sounds, is about a town under siege by a car tire with psychic abilities. This car tire is rolling around the city, and when it chooses its victim, with the help of its psychic powers, it stares at them until eventually their head explodes. Now, come on, that premise is absolutely ludicrous. Why a tire? Why not at least make it something living? Even Zombievers had that. We just don't know what's normal anymore. It's been claimed that the intention was to show how bad movies can be. We don't know if that's true, but if it is, then this movie might be able to be excused. Maybe. Now, this is quite an old movie, but even back in the old days, there were still ridiculous movies. And Deathbed, The Bed That Eats from 1977 is one of those ridiculous movies. It was written, directed, and produced by George Barry, and is basically about exactly what the title says, a killer bed. The bed's origin in the movie is that a demon falls in love with a woman and conjures up a bed for them to make love on. However, the woman dies during this, and the demon cries tears of blood, which brings the bed to life. The bed then has the ability to devour anyone who lies on it in any way. It feels to us like the writers of these kinds of films just take any ordinary everyday object and figured that if they make it kill people, it'll suddenly be scary, no matter how non-threatening the object is. Unfortunately, this just makes these types of films laughable, and that is most certainly the case with this movie. So the next film is quite a bizarre one to talk about, Killer Clowns from Outer Space from 1988. It's basically what it says in the title, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Now, first of all, why does everything need to be from space or in space when there's no need for it? This is a prime example. What are the clowns doing in space? Is there some kind of galactic circus we don't know about? Are there killer trapeze artists somewhere? Now, to give the film the benefit of the doubt, the clowns are actually just aliens that just so happen to look like the clowns we see here on Earth when they arrive. But even that is stupid. Why do they look like clowns? Can they help it? If so, why don't they change to something a little less sinister to take people by surprise? And if not, why do they look so similar to Earth's clowns? So many stupid questions. In 1978, another film was released that yet again fell into the category of things that don't usually kill you. This time we have Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. It literally is as ridiculous as it sounds. Killer tomatoes. The tomatoes somehow become able to feel and think, which goes completely unexplained in the film, but then they want to revolt against humanity for eating them all these years. Despite the film getting terrible reviews, it was somehow popular enough to get 3 sequels: Return of the Killer Tomatoes in 1988, The Killer Tomatoes Strike Back in 1990, and Killer Tomatoes Eat France in 1991. The film also inspired a cartoon version of the Killer Tomatoes that aired on Fox Kids in 1990. We no longer know what's right with the world. So then we've had murdering tires, murdering tomatoes, murdering beds. What's next? How about murdering yogurt? In The Stuff from 1985, that's exactly what the film is about. When a mysterious but delicious yogurt-type goo appears from the earth, it becomes the newest taste sensation for desserts. But all isn't as it seems. It turns out that it's a parasite, and that anyone who consumes this tasty treat becomes a zombie-like creature as the stuff takes over their brains and devours their insides. We suppose it's at least an original concept for creating zombies, but we can't get past the humor of it being yogurt. Where do all these ideas come from? Do they just open the refrigerator and say, eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Okay, yogurt it is. Next up is Night of the Lepus from 1972, also known as Rabbits. This film focuses on a town in Arizona that's battling thousands of mutated carnivorous killer rabbits. Now, we know we mentioned zombie bunnies earlier, but come on, that wasn't supposed to be taken seriously. This film has actually been laughed at by many for its inability to make the rabbits scary, even though they're supposed to be. I mean, it's impossible to make something so cuddly seem deadly. On top of that, there's also the bad directing of the film. Pretty much nothing went right with this movie, and we're not surprised. Originally, the film wasn't supposed to be called Rabbits because Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer wanted to keep the animals a secret. However, the studio ended up breaking the secret anyway because rabbit's foot-themed promotional materials were released before the film. So then, we've done zombie beavers, killer bunnies, rampaging tomatoes, bloodthirsty beds, carnivorous yogurt, and a psycho tire. So we might as well just bring everything else to life while we're at it. In Maximum Overdrive from 1986, a comet passes over the city, bringing everything electrical to life, from cars to ATMs to vending machines, the whole lot. And it's like, on top of all that, they were trying to squeeze in as many ridiculous deaths as possible. A couple of examples include a vending machine beating someone to death with soda cans, and one kid who gets flattened by a steamroller. The funny thing is that this movie is actually fairly entertaining, but for the completely wrong reasons. It's one of those films where it's so bad that it's hilarious. Finally, on this list, we have Frankenhooker from 1990. This film is about a bunch of dead prostitutes who get stitched together to make a retelling of the horror classic Frankenstein. The new Frankenhooker has both an insatiable sexual appetite and a near equal lust for murder. This is again ridiculous, but then again, so is the original Frankenstein in a way, although at least he doesn't shuffle around looking for sex. Frankenhooker is outrageous, sexist, and offensive, yet people still watch it. In this movie, the scientist uses a drug to kill the women in order to get their body parts, unlike in the original movie where the parts of the monster were taken from already dead corpses. So there you have it, our list of ridiculous horror movies, in no particular order.